Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be are some dating profile pictures and excessive plastic surgery red flags. Well, this particular email is from a viewer he's read 3% Man 10 times, and it looks like he's been doing a lot of online dating, so he thought he would send in an email with some observations that he's made because obviously we speak a lot in these video newsletters about vetting women for character. And so he's noticed a couple of things that, at least in the women that he's met online, that he wanted to share. So I thought it was a good email to share with you guys because I know a lot of you watching this do online dating. So it'd be interesting to see the comments and what you guys have experienced as well, if it's something similar to this guy. So he says, Corey, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Well, ditto to you. I love your work. I've read your book 10 times and it flat out works. Well, I say it all the time. Even if you think I'm totally full of shit, if you apply what's in 3% Man, you're going to get better results than you were getting previously. And if you're new here and you haven't read it yet, you can go to understandingrelationships.com, click just in the email sign up box, which will pop up in the right hand corner of the website if you're on a desktop or laptop. If you're on a mobile device, it'll be the first thing you see. Put your name, your first name, your email address, and create a password. As soon as you submit, the book will open up right in your web browser. So you can read it and try it before you buy it. So you got nothing to lose. Nobody else does that. Nobody lets you learn all their best stuff for free. That should tell you something. So he says, I got a couple of observations that I'd like to share. First, the basic idea of planning a date that's multiple dates in one. So a while ago, I met a woman online, and although we lived some distance away from each other, we still clicked. So as far as doing multiple dates in one night, that was something I learned from some of the guys in the pickup and seduction community, and that shit works like a charm. Because the idea, and this is laid out in the book, is that what do most guys do? They make a date, they take a girl to dinner, maybe they meet for drinks, and then that's it. And they take her home or they go their separate ways if they drove separately. Whereas if you think about it, women typically in the West are going to sleep with a guy by the second or third date. And when it comes to seduction, it usually takes about 4 or 5 hours from the time you start your date till physical affection happens. So the idea is to stack the deck in your favor to help you get what you want. Because I'm a coach. My job is to help you get what you want. I'm not here to be your priest or your judge or whatever. I'm just going to give you unvarnished feedback. Sometimes I'm going to torch a guy if he needs it, especially if he's doing a lot of dumb, unattractive things. I'm going to torch him and to emotionally anchor him to move away from things that are going to cause him pain, and then emotionally anchor him to things that are going to create pleasure, all just by me talking. It looks like I'm talking, but there actually is a method to my madness, and it works really well. So back to the 3 dates. And so typically, say if you're on a budget, you don't want to be taking girls out to expensive dinners. I get that. I totally understand. But you can basically take measured steps on a date to invest more in a woman if things go well. So if you're unsure, if you met online or maybe you just met quickly and met a girl in person, you only talked for a handful of minutes, a good place to meet is like a wine bar. You have a glass of wine, maybe an appetizer or two, and if she sucks or you don't like the way she talks or she's boring, you don't feel like you click, you can excuse yourself, say, hey, it's been really great meeting you. I got to run. Have a great night. You give her a hug. You're on your way. But if it goes well, then you can have a second place to go, hey, why don't we get out and go down the street? There's a really great place we can go have a nice quiet dinner. So then you go and you have dinner, conversation continues. And then the third place should be a place that can facilitate physical interaction. Something like miniature golf or maybe even a top golf or throwing axes or video games or go-karts or shooting pool, bowling, video games, arcades, pinball, throwing darts, that kind of thing. Because at the third place, after you spent 3, 4, 5 hours together and you notice she's playing with her hair and touching your arm, then you can make your move. You start making out. Making out leads to heavy petting. Then your hands start wandering. And then you can invite her with the trial closed back to your place to see if she's ready to go be alone with you. And if she's not, she'll usually say, well, let's have another drink, or let's stay for a little while longer. Hey, let's order another appetizer or something. And so you do that. Maybe an hour later, you try it again. So you'll get a much higher close rate on the first date versus spreading that out over 3 dates. So it's just a technique. It works really well because if you're getting in and out of your car, or in and out of an Uber or a train or a bus or whatever, it's like you're going to 3 different places together. You're out in public, you're walking around, and it gives the woman the experience of being on 3 dates. So it'll give you the best possible chances to get to the promised land as quickly as possible. Because again, that's what us guys are thinking. We're visual creatures. We see a woman, and we're taken them by her. And what are we thinking? We're thinking impure thoughts. So it's my job as a coach is to help you get there as quickly, as efficiently, and also for you guys on a budget as inexpensively as possible. He says, we decided to meet halfway in a small college town. I planned an entire day date. First, we biked a local trail. Now, normally I don't recommend going on day dates because guys get in the habit, especially guys that are too nice. They're ultra nice guys. They start asking women on lunch dates and stuff like that. And then they have nothing planned afterwards. They go on a lunch date and then they see you later. And the more you do platonic things, especially if her interest is low, and then especially when you don't make a move or try to kiss or escalate things, you end up going out on a bunch of lunch dates and it goes nowhere. So especially if you got a girl that doesn't really like you, but a lunch date is, hey, that's like a friendship thing, free meal, you don't want your time wasted or your money. So an evening date is a romantic date. And if a woman is trying to avoid doing anything romantic with you, she's going to suggest coffee dates or meeting in neutral ground in the middle of the day to do a lunch date. But it doesn't mean it's set in stone. Like this guy, it looks like they're a little long distance from each other. I personally, if I was doing online dating, I'd only want to be 10 to 15 minutes away. But you open your geographic area up, you're just going to get more matches and more prospects. But for convenience sake, it's much nicer to have a woman that's only 10, 15 minutes away, especially if you start dating seriously. Because driving an hour, hour and a half to get to a girl or her to get to you, that becomes a drag, especially the longer you're together. So he says, I planned an entire day date. First, we biked a local trail, then had lunch at a trendy local cafe, off to a wine tasting overlooking a river, a short tour of a local multimedia art museum, and then finally a casual dinner at the only real restaurant in the small town. So he did all that research, I would imagine, on Google Maps, which, that's really great for planning things, especially if you're not familiar with the area. There's lots of cool little things in there. You can use the search feature to find you fun, inexpensive, interesting places to go. A little light hand-holding along the way, so I walked her back to her car to part company, thanked her for coming, and leaned in for a simple goodbye kiss. Kaboom! Instant tonsil hockey. I have never heard tonsil hockey, so might have to steal that one. Thanks for sharing, tonsil hockey. Just amazing to me how her interest was boiling over. Yeah, because the other thing is you're spending a lot of time together and you're not really making a move physically. And then by the end of the date, she's like, when is he going to make a move? When's he going to try to kiss me? And then you do, and she sucks the tongue out of the back of your throat. It's always nice when that happens. Second, I've observed through a number of dates and short relationships that a big red flag for me is breast implants. Well, being a connoisseur of breasts, I will say if a woman's going to have breast implants, underneath the muscle, it feels natural. Beautiful. Love it. But outside the muscle, you get scar tissue, and it doesn't feel good. That's my personal preference, but I'm just saying, under the muscle is best, but quite frankly, even if she's got little A cups, if they're natural, there's nothing like a natural boobies in your hands. But I will say the more, especially living in South Florida, I think this is kind of everywhere, but you see so many women these days doing the fish lips and getting their face done and their cheeks and everything else, and their face doesn't move, and they look like a fucking porcelain doll. They almost look like a Joker. You ever see the original Batman movie with Jack Nicholson, the Joker, and he's got that permagrin? That's kind of the way these women, they don't look natural. They blow their lips up, and it just... And the other thing, if you know, because I've dated women that have blown their lips up, it's like they're hard as a rock. They can't, their lips don't really even move, so kissing them is like sucking on a fucking garden hose or something. It's not very nice. Not a fan of it. I prefer El Natural. But I have, like I said, you see that a lot. And it's like all the women, they look the same. And then you see how they look before they got the surgery, and you're like, oh, God, she was so beautiful. She destroyed her face with this shit. All these fucking injections. It's just not attractive. So typically, I mean, common sense is if a woman's doing that kind of plastic surgery, she doesn't like the way she looks, she's insecure about it, maybe somebody made fun of her, maybe she dated a guy and he's like, your boobs are too small, treated her like shit and dumped her and blew her off, and then she thinks, oh, well, if I get my boobs done, then guys will really like me. And so I've known women that have gone and gotten boob jobs because they were getting ripped on by the guys they were dating at the time. And then those relationships never work out, and then they got a rack that wasn't really their idea. They did it to please somebody else, and the guy still didn't stay with them. So it is possible. You know, if a woman has a healthy body image, she's going to love herself the way she is. She's not going to want to go get a bunch of surgery. I mean, we look at, what's her name? Ariana Grande is such a beautiful girl, and it's like she looks like she's been taking Ozempic or something. She looks like a fucking skeleton now. She looks awful. She doesn't look healthy at all. But it's, you know, that whole Hollywood culture is, all those people are nutty. It's like they all get surgery. They all get the injections in their face. And the thing is, when you get the shit in your cheeks, like I had a friend of mine who did that. After about 5 or 6 years, it turns around sideways, and then you get a big bulge in your cheek. Then you got to go and get back under the knife and get the shit taken out. It's just like, it's not worth it. But people do it. It's a big industry. It just makes really attractive women look ugly, and they all look the same. They all look like a bunch of fucking fish. As Rodney Dangerfield would have said, last time I saw a mouth like that, it had a hook in it. So, not a fan. Don't ruin your face, ladies, with the plastic surgery. So, but he says, every woman, and I mean every woman that I've known, met, or heard about who has had breast implant surgery was a hot mess. Well, you know, in my personal experience, some of them are, but not all of them are. But then again, he's doing a lot of online dating. And again, typically if a woman has a full social life and it's easy for her to meet great men, she's not going to be on a dating app. I've come to believe that there's a direct connection to low self-esteem and that the surgery is an attempt to fix that. Well, again, this is his experience. So he's doing a lot of online dating, and so you got to think about it as like fishing when you're prospecting. So if you're strictly doing online dating, you're dealing with women that just aren't meeting the kind of guys that they want in their normal everyday lives, or maybe they're transplants. Maybe they moved here for a job and they literally know nobody. But the majority of what you see on there is just women, for whatever reason, aren't meeting the right guys, or they're just fucking Fruit Loops. I mean, I've been doing this 20 years. There's so many emails that I've done over the years. It's why one of the reasons why I go through these, so guys can learn from it and they don't make the same mistakes. Because we typically learn more from failure than we do for success. Because if we're arrogant and full of ourselves and we have a knowledge gap and we have a bunch of success, then we start to think we're infallible. And then that's when you get humbled. As Jocko says, be humble or you will be humbled. So you end up with women who typically are high body count flakes surrounded by a plethora of male orbiters. Well, those are definitely women from broken homes. A good family-oriented girl who's raised right, whose father wants to meet every guy she goes out with, shake his hand, look him in the eye. He's going to give his opinion. And she's going to trust his judgment because she loves her dad. These are relationships, good family relationships where dad is the man of the house. He's the alpha. The wife, the girlfriend, baby mama respects him, and all the daughters respect daddy's the law. When daddy decides something, that's it. There's no talking back. There's no nagging him for 90 days until he gives in and throws up his hands in frustration. He decides something, that's it. And everybody's like, yes, daddy. She admires her dad, respects her dad. She'll say things like, he's my rock. My father is my rock. whenever they need advice or they got an issue or they're having trouble with a guy, they're going to talk to their dad. And their dad's going to tell them the way it is, and they're going to trust their dad, and they're going to listen to him. A girl from a broken home doesn't have that. So you're going to typically see lots of male orbiters, and even if they're in a relationship, they'll be giving out their phone number when they're supposedly taken to other guys to basically give them the green light to hit on them. So again, when you see that, that's why it's always a good question to ask, especially when you first meet a girl or you're on a date. It's like, so tell me about your family. Are you guys close? Do you love your dad? And she's like, oh, my dad's a fucking narcissist. I hate him. I haven't talked to him in 10 years. He's terribly cheated on my mother. He cheated on his other wives. If you hear that, then that's not good. Because she's going to be jaded. She's not going to trust men. And she may even come out and say things like she hates men. If she hates her father, she'll probably hate men and hate you. Has nothing to do with you. It's just, that's what happened. Dad fucked her up. So he says they're fun for a while, but not relationship material. Well, like I say often, is that there are women for fun and fucking, and then there are women for family and a relationship. And don't confuse the two. Last, online dating profiles. When I see a headline photo that's a selfie shot from a high angle wearing a low-cut dress, in other words, showing off their boobs, like, hey, look at my boobs. He says that's an instant swipe left. That's what you want your first impression to be? Show me a photo of you doing something active outdoors and I'm interested. Show me a photo with a 10K race bib, skiing, or playing golf and I'm hooked. Just normal things. Girls that didn't get attention from daddy would make sense that they're going to say, hey, look at my titties. But girls that were raised right, if their dad saw the profile, was like, honey, your tits are out. Come on. That shouldn't be the first picture in your profile. You're sending the wrong signal. You're going to send guys that are just looking for that. You want a guy that's with you for you. He's like, oh, she's a runner too? Oh, cool. So I agree with what you're saying there. It tells you a lot based upon the pictures. But obviously women know that us guys are visual creatures and, they should have some pictures that you can tell what their body looks like. If everything is a headshot or from the shoulders and up, then you know she's probably fat. Not always, but most of the time it's because they're fat and they're trying to hide the wide load. Trying to hide the fact that, when they walk down the street, they cause a fucking eclipse. So, that was his experience. Like I said, the thing with the plastic surgery, I can kind of understand that. Boobs only, in my experience, I've seen both sides. I can't say definitively in my own personal experience one way or another it is or it isn't, because I've seen both. I've seen women that are totally natural that are screwballs, and women that have had breast implants that are great, and others that are total nut jobs and they sleep around. So it's a case by case basis, but it is an interesting observation. And so my opinion, based on what he shared, is if you're going to do online dating, it's probably a good rule of thumb. Especially, that's an interesting observation. What's the first picture that you're going to see? The titties? Or maybe she's got her little bib with her number on and she's in a nice, pair of yoga pants or whatever. She's not giving you a beaver shot or a picture of the camel toe or anything like that. They're tastefully done. In other words, if Dad saw that, he wouldn't be like, what are you doing? Right? What are you doing? Lila is like, huh? I say that to the dogs a lot. When they're doing something they shouldn't, I'm like, what are you doing? So as soon as I said that, she was like, huh? Huh? So, what do you guys think? Post your comments below. It'd be interesting to see your feedback. But like I said, if you're strictly doing online dating, I'd say pretty much this guy's pretty spot on. If you're meeting women in real life and they have a really good relationship with their dad, it's not necessarily going to apply. But it'd be interesting to see what you guys have to say in the comments. So if you got a question or challenge and you'd like to get my help, go to understandingrelationships.com, click the coaching tab at the top of your screen on any page of my website, and book a coaching session with yours truly. If you haven't already signed up for our exclusive premium members-only content, in the video description of this video, there are links to join on YouTube, or you can join on Spotify, or our website, understandingrelationships.com. Just click the plans tab when you get there, and you can sign up for a 7-day free trial to check out the great extensive premium membership video content library you get access to. And if you choose an annual plan, you can get a 25% discount at the end of the 7-day free trial. So go to understandingrelationships.com, click the plans tab, sign up for a free trial today. And until next time, I will talk to you soon.